On the premiere episode of the 5G Life podcast, join Brian Castillo and Eric Coronado as we kick off our 5Gs with Grub, talking about green chili, Grub during the pandemic, and proper etiquette while eating nachos. Thanks for joining. All right, welcome everyone. You're listening to the 5G Life podcast with Brian Castillo and Eric Coronado, coming to you from the 505. For those of you that don't know, or first-time listeners, that's Albuquerque, New Mexico, and yes, that is still a state if you've never been here. So, how you doing today, Eric?
I'm doing pretty good, man. It's Sunday. Usually we just keep it lazy.
I hear you.
Meal preps, take the dog out for a hike. Yeah, man, I like to keep my Sundays pretty lazy.
Yeah, so this is our kickoff episode. Why don't you tell the people a little bit about Eric Coronado, man?
Oh, me explain about myself? Okay.
Yeah, come on. Give it a little intro.
Yeah, so we're both engineers. We're co-workers.
Come on, man. I thought we were friends, too.
No, yeah. I mean, we're friends. We like to hang out. We both got dogs. So I'm originally from Houston. I came over to Albuquerque for work. I'm a big outdoorsman. So Albuquerque was the place to go, man. We got mountains 15 minutes away east of us. We got giant mountains north of us in Santa Fe, about an hour away. So I made the transition from Texas, which I miss a lot. But I'm falling in love with New Mexico, man. There's a lot of good stuff out here that I really appreciate.
Yeah, close enough, man. That's great. I like to give the people a little context, especially because what we're all about. I think it matters, where you're from.
Oh, I gotcha.
With our topics.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I can get into it a little bit more. So like I mentioned, I'm from Houston. Jumped out of the house at 18 years old, like every other Mexican. Joined the military. I did that for 6 years. I was on submarines out of Guam. Interesting way to go through young adolescence, adulthood, whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
Got out, went to Texas A&M, got my undergrad, got my bachelor's, got my master's out there, and then took a gap year, did some crazy hiking in there. And then moved out to Albuquerque, man. That is a condensed version of my life as of so far.
I'm sure as we continue this podcast experiment, you'll be able to talk a little bit more about yourself. But that's exactly what I was looking for. So, Brian Castillo, born and raised in Albuquerque, got my degree here, chemical engineering. We share a lot of similar interests. The way we came up with the concept, 5G Life. Eric has introduced me to I don't know how many podcasts at work, as we're grinding away from that 9 to 5. But we figured, hey, we got a lot of things to say too, so why don't we talk about them? So to start off, our 5Gs are going to be guns, grub, gaming, guy talk, and girls. I'm married myself, and Eric's single, early 30s. And so we'll be talking a little bit about what comes with each of those differences. But why don't we start with my biggest passion, probably grub, man. I'm a foodie. I love cooking. I was one of those weird little kids who'd watch Food Network. What I mean?
Yeah.
So
now, you know what I love about New Mexico is the green chili. It's embedded in the culture here.
Yes.
So like back home in Texas, I mean, we love our spicy food, but like that stuff is like Tex-Mex. It's kind of like just
smothered in queso.
Yeah, just throw cheese on everything, and it's like I get it does taste good, but like at some point, like I love that hotness. Like growing up in a Mexican household, like we had like the habanero, chile piquin, that real good flavors, super super hot, so. Moving out here to New Mexico and seeing that everybody was about that green chili, like I definitely vibe with that.
So before you moved here, did you know what green chili was? Had you ever had it before? I mean, you're a traveler. You were in the Navy, so.
Like I think I had heard of the term before, but not I just thought it was like, oh, it's just chilies that are
Right,
green. Like
right.
I didn't know that it's like an actual like specific pepper, if that makes sense.
Oh, yeah. No, I got you.
But even then, like okay, maybe you'll know this. What is the difference between the green ones and the red ones out here?
Yes. So it depends when they're harvested.
Okay.
Also, and so a red chili, you'll see the ristras where they're hung. So you typically dry those out and then you rehydrate them in a blender. And red chili is usually more of a sauce where it's cooked with like a pork or beef, something like that.
Okay.
And it's red tends to be more mild. It definitely can pack a punch as well, but it's more like a sauce and stuff. Where green, you'll see a sauce a lot, especially in southern Colorado. They always try to claim the title of the best chili in the states or world, whatever. Yeah, okay, come on, Colorado. But Hatch is kind of where it originated, where they started messing with the strands of chili down there in Cruces at New Mexico State, and so. Green can be more fruitful, especially. So it's now actually going to be chili roasting season, late August into September. And so any grocery store around here, Walmart, Smith's, the local ones, you'll see them roasting them in the parking lot. So you roast it to get that skin off, and that gives it that more flavor. So if you go down and get a sack of green chili, they'll roast it for you, and then you let it sweat in the bag with the skin. Now, this is a big debate too. So my wife and her household, they'll spend hours after you sweat the bag to peel the chili and then put it in your container, your Ziploc, whatever.
But, like the skin coming off?
Yeah,
or what do you mean? Okay.
Yeah. So if you've ever roasted a pepper or anything like that.
Yeah, it comes off.
Mm-hmm, yeah, so you take the skin off. But a lot of people will just bag them with the skin on and then peel it off as you go, as you defrost it.
I mean, I guess the obvious question is, what's the difference? Is like the skin like a little more bitter or something? Or
well, you're taking it off either way. It's just, do you want to save yourself time later
I understand.
on, or do you want to do it at first?
Or I would just eat it because I'm just a dump truck and it's going in my mouth. That's fine.
Well, traditionally that's what you'll do, especially if you're going to spend time peeling it. You know, it's like a family ordeal, right?
Yeah.
Everyone takes it, and usually the sacks are in 40-pound increments.
Oh,
So,
okay.
like,
I didn't know they were that big.
Yeah,
Okay.
so just in our household with my wife and I, she eats avocado egg toast every day, and she puts a strip of green chili on each piece of toast. And so we go through 80 pounds a year, so we get 2 sacks. And what we typically do is get an extra hot sack and a hot sack, because it's going to vary depending on the crop.
How do you know which one's hot and extra hot? Or
So they grow different strands.
oh, okay,
first off.
okay.
But it's still kind of a crapshoot, man. So, you know, and it kind of depends on what you're looking for. So, like the real big peppers that you see that are, you know, kind of closer to poblanos that would be really good for like a chili relleno.
Yeah.
Those are going to typically be more mild.
Yeah,
man. It's the smaller ones you got to watch out for.
You got to be.
Yeah.
Okay. No, I was just curious as to, because there's like an Asian person that lives like 2 blocks down when I walked on it, and his front yard is filled with them. Like,
So do you think they're green chilies?
Well, yeah, because a few of them are green, and you can tell like a few of them are starting to turn like a little red.
Okay.
Okay. And you know, like I've been here now for like a year, and I can tell what a green chili is, and they look like them.
Sure. Okay. Now, well, I mean, you brought up Asian, and that's actually where, you know, I mean, you just think about human civilization in the Eastern Hemisphere, how much longer it's been around, kind of
with the spice trades and everything.
It's with spice trades, and so like obviously you hear about like the ghost peppers, the Thai chilies. It's definitely a different like spice profile, and you can't really explain it to someone until you've tried them. You know?
It's like that. I don't know if there's an official term for it, but I've always called it like the afterbite, where you're like, oh, like this tastes good, and you're like, oh crap, like this is not good. It is like milk. Like I need bread, something to get rid of this.
Well, and that's what I would say. Like, don't get me wrong, you could get some really hot batches of green and red, but as you said, it's a cultural thing. Like you'll see around here, green chili is put on everything.
Yeah, no,
Pizza,
I dig it, man.
bagels, burgers, even more unconventional things like ice cream. You'll see green chili ice cream, green chili spice popcorn. Yeah, it gets taken a little too far. Okay. There's definitely a boundary, but It's so versatile, man. Like you were saying, you could throw that in. And actually, funny about Houston, because I worked for ConocoPhillips in the oil and gas industry, and so spent quite a bit of time in Houston myself when I was working there. And it was like the most disappointing thing ever to go to Whataburger at like 2 a.m. after a bar run, and you want a green chili double, and they look at you like, "What the hell is that?"
It's not the same.
Well, they don't know what green chili is. Or if you go to In-N-Out Burger in California or something, and you ask for peppers, they give you the little yellow hots or jalapenos, and it's like, it's not the same thing.
But even with jalapenos, like that's another big one that we're kind of used to, like back in Texas. But it's like I don't know how do you like your jalapenos? You like them raw or like the pickled stuff, or just?
It kind of depends on the application. I mean, I love me some pickled jalapenos, right? You throw that in a sandwich or something. But a raw jalapeno, if you, like we're talking about roasting peppers, man, you roast that and just bite into that with a sandwich, like one bite sandwich, one bite jalapeno. Or jalapenos are an essential topping on nachos, in my opinion. And I like them. I prefer them fresh on nachos, personally.
Do you ever hate I think we talked about it before. It's like when somebody gets nachos and you have like that asshole friend that like grabs like the heavy nacho and you're like, bro, these aren't yours, man. Like these are mine. Like you take one off the side and limit the amount of meat you're scooping out.
Well, that goes back to, Grub etiquette, man.
Yeah.
Like, especially if someone is offering you something, you don't take the best bite.
Yeah, like
you're an asshole if you're taking the best bite.
I've seen people go like right for the middle of the nachos, and it's like, dude, like that's. I don't know you like that. Like, we're friends, but, like, you're going to start a fight in here.
Well, think about with Rona, man. I mean, even if you've been friends with someone for a while, I mean, people are reacting to this thing so differently, regardless of how you feel about it, right? So, like, think about just grabbing food, like grabbing someone's food. You can't do that anymore.
That's a good segue. That was one of the topics we were trying to copy today.
Food in the Rona?
Food in the Rona, man.
Well, before we jump to that, have you seen Saving Silverman?
Yes.
That your nacho bit, it just reminds me about that, man. It's one chip. One chip. It's all connected.
That's one nacho. No, you're liable to get punched in the face. And if you were my friend and you did that to another friend and he punched you in the face, I would let him do it.
There you go, guys. Don't be picking the best food from Eric.
Do not go off the middle. That is a dick thing to do. Those are not your nachos if you did not pay for them.
There you go.
But all right, so back to Rona. So we're out here in New Mexico, and our governor has, let's be honest, I don't think anybody knows what she's doing, but that's fine. That's fine. Some people like her. I do not, but so it's changed from 50% to 25%. Hey, we're open within 48 hours. Actually shut your store down. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, just like anywhere across the country, people are struggling, but it's weird when it's kind of happening in your own backyard and you kind of see it. And then for myself, I don't really eat out all that often anyways.
Yeah, actually tell the people how many times you've eaten out this entire time from March until, we're in late August now.
Like during the Rona season?
Yeah.
I mean, probably only when I went out with you guys, so maybe like 3 or 4.
Okay, so you're talking like, but you haven't gone to the drive-thru, you haven't done DoorDash, Grubhub, nothing.
No, I don't do any of that. So I normally do my meal preps. I can usually cook from home. Mm-hmm. I prefer doing. I'm a little bit frugal. My brother would call me cheap, but I mean, dude, I got a freezer full of meat, like from the beginning of Rona. Once we saw those meat prices start to skyrocket. So I got all my stuff before that because I was a little freaked out, just like everybody else. And so just slowly I'm starting to eat that away. And, I can always do a good steak. Like, I'm okay with that.
I got to give you kudos, Eric, because, I especially early on when we dragged you out there snowboarding and whatnot, I think it was late in the season, like, mid-February, and, you were telling me just go get some essentials, like, people are going to get crazy. I'm glad I listened to you because I did get a few things. Definitely wasn't hoarding, but, the stupidity that you've seen with just, again, whether you're afraid or not of the virus and whether you're at high risk and certainly understand we don't know a lot about it, but, buying 20 gallons of milk. I mean, I've literally seen that in people's shopping carts. Like, that is irresponsible. You're not going to freeze all that milk.
Yeah,
like,
for the record, milk lasts, 2 weeks, 3 at the most?
3 if you're lucky. That's ultra pasteurized.
What are you going to do with 20 gallons, lady? Like, what are you doing?
I don't know. Yeah, and we're talking about food, so forget the toilet paper thing.
Yeah.
But it's funny that you brought up a little bit about how you feel about the governor. Like I mentioned, I'm a total foodie. I mean, hell, we're going to talk about gains in the gym a lot during this podcast, which is something we're both pretty passionate about as far as fitness. But at one point in my life, I was 270 pounds, and not in a good way. With not a lot of muscle mass.
I mean, usually you can tell with people when they've lost. Like, I can't tell it with you. Like, you look pretty slim. I would have never known.
I appreciate that. I could show you an old ID picture sometime. But one of the things that you learn kind of when you start to learn about nutrition and you get into that stuff is, like you mentioned, cooking from home a lot. Well, I'm a foodie. I grew up in Albuquerque. I love a lot of my local hole-in-the-wall places, man, that maybe have like 6 tables. And I just feel for them right now. So before this whole thing, I actually never had a Grubhub, a DoorDash, none of that stuff.
Yeah.
But I downloaded it. We've tried to support 2 local places every week.
You're a local hero, man. You are a local hero. That's what I tell people that love to eat out. It's like, just supporting small businesses over here. I appreciate that.
Part of it's that mental grind too, though. like with this thing, you're at home all the time with Rona. It's really weird. I'm a homebody anyways, but even this thing has gotten to me. I took for granted just having a date night with my wife on a Friday night, going out to have dinner, maybe a couple drinks, even though I'm not a big drinker. So we've missed some of that. So to still have some food cooked for us has been nice. But like yourself, I'm cheap too. And man, I feel bad for these restaurants. Like, I know DoorDash is just bending them over, or Grubhub, but they need each other. It's a symbiotic relationship, because if they're not open, then DoorDash isn't going to turn a profit. So
it's just a weird. And I mean, even if they are open, like, what do you do with 25%? Like the profit margins alone for restaurants is they're super slim, and then so you're telling somebody 25% only, or you can set up for outside. I remember reading something about that they approved a bunch of restaurants to have outdoor dining type of deal, but we're in the monsoon season right now. Like, good luck trying to get somebody to eat outside as your fucking tent goes flying away from the 40-mile-an-hour winds that we have here.
Well, not only that, 100 degrees. We've been running into a heat spell this week and whatnot. But you're absolutely right. A lot of these restaurants, like you said, run slim margins, so it might not be sustainable to run at 25% capacity, or especially if you're a smaller mom and pop shop like some of the really local places we like. You have to depend on the loyalty of your customer base to keep coming back. And, not everyone wants to do the takeout thing like you were talking about. I mean, yours is for different reasons, but, there is a fear with this virus, right? And so a lot of people maybe don't want other people to handle their food and whatnot. So I feel for a lot of these places. And on Instagram, I don't know I can't tell you how many foodie channels and things I follow. Food Beast is one of my favorites. And they're showing all the time of all these places just hurting, man.
Well, not even just hurting, like straight up, because you sent me a few articles of Albuquerque of like restaurants is like, hey, was it closing down after 28 years, 30 plus years? And that's super sad, man. Like, especially with this being America, where it's the I mean, this is the land where you can follow your dreams. It's like just throwing some hard work, throw some elbow grease into something, and you can do whatever you want, but just. This happened over the course of a few months, and they just shut everything down, and everyone's okay with it. Yeah. And again, I'm not saying like the fear isn't real. Like I think people are worried, but I mean, just like anything, you got to let people assess the risk for themselves. And if somebody wants to go out and get a burger, like, I'm gonna go get a burger. I'm a young, healthy man. Yeah. If I want to go grab a beer, grab some tacos off the stand, and I mean, I have the right to do that. And I don't know, it's just a very weird time. I mean, honestly, who can relate to this? Like, this is the first time something this crazy has happened. Yeah. To where they just complete control over everything you do.
Well, I mean, really globally, right? I mean, you even see places that have had some success, depending on how you look at it, like New Zealand and whatnot, with some of the extreme measures that they've taken, and it's still bouncing back. We'll see where it goes. But as far as like the food industry and Grub in general. I think one of the benefits though during this time that I hope anyway is that people are kind of taking that hard look in the mirror of their personal health, right? And so if you don't like eating out as much and you're eating at home more, hopefully some people have like tried some new recipes, because food is such a big thing with culture, man.
In the Mexican community,
Everywhere though.
But it's like what I can relate to is like I mean, I remember you telling me that your grandparents are the same way, where it's like, dad cooks something up on the grill, everybody comes over, you hang out, it's like all the little kids running around, it's like I really miss that, man. I still try to do it every once in a while here. With my little UFC fancy food fight nights that I like to do.
Oh yeah, well why don't you tell them a little bit more about that?
Okay, so I mean, my father, come from a Mexican household. Every Sunday it's always grilling, tacos, ribs. Uncles come over. I got little nephews and nieces running around like just destroying crap. Like at the time, you kind of like look at it, like it feels like it was a little annoying, but like now that it's not happening very often anymore, it's like, man, like I kind of miss that. That everyone's getting bigger, but anyways, so I kind of got that from my father. He genuinely enjoys just cooking for the family, and that's kind of our church. Like everybody comes over, you hang out, and just whatever happened during the week, it's a good way to unload. Couple people drinking. I don't drink very much anymore. It used to back in the day, but not after I left the military.
Uh-oh.
But yeah, that's where I got my love for cooking for others. So usually for like the big pay-per-views, like the fights, I like to invite people over, grill up something, or make some fancy food.
What do you consider fancy food, Eric?
All right, so lately I've been lazy just because I got a few white friends that come over and they think my tacos are amazing. And I was like, dude, I do this every Tuesday. Like every Tuesday and Thursday, like I'm doing tacos at home. It's not anything fancy, but they dig it. If they're not complaining, that's perfectly fine. But I've done a few things. I did a beef stroganoff from scratch.
Oh, very nice. You made the egg noodles?
I made it. Well, no, I didn't use egg noodles. What I ended up using was zucchini noodles.
Oh, okay.
And so
nice.
Which a lesson learned from that. So the first time I made it, it was basically like a soup. Because what you read online, it tells you for the zucchini noodles that you have to usually boil them.
Yep.
But don't do that, ladies and gentlemen. Don't do that. What you do is
turn into mush.
It turns into mush. No one tells you this, man. So the way that I found around it was basically you just take out the zucchini and leave it out on the counter, let it be at room temperature. Make your noodles, and whatever you cook, just throw it over the top of it so it'll warm it up. That way you're not eating cold noodles with whatever you're cooking, and it still holds that noodle form.
Yep.
So I did that for the second time, and that was one of those where. When people are getting up and fighting for seconds, like you succeeded.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, so usually when I do my fancy food fight nights, I like to experiment with the food, and I always want constructive criticism. Like if it sucks, like you're not gonna hurt my feelings, right? Like I got some tough skin. Like it's like, dude, this sucks. It's too salty. Like I want to know so I can get better as a cook.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I learned that from my father. I did it through. When I went through school over at Texas A&M, like I would invite a bunch of friends over and I would cook for everybody.
Yeah.
Which was kind of funny because usually I'm trying to like bring women to these things. There's like one of their buddies to bring their wives, and it's like, oh, like I don't want to watch somebody get punched in the face, like all the violence. And I was like, hey, it's like, so I basically had to resort to bribing people with food. And so from there my skills kind of grew as I cooked different things. So beef stroganoff I've done a few times. Fish, steaks, I'm pretty cheap and easy.
Well, you better know your way around a steak, man. That's your Texas home card right there, your man card from Texas. You better know how to cook a steak properly.
Probably the one where I knew I did good was I've done this a few times already. So it was pork ribs with the loin still attached to them. So what you do is you cut along the bone.
Yep.
and so now you have that flap. And was it and that flap you stuff it with a kielbasa, some mustard, all kinds of different seasonings. The and then you close it shut. You tie it off with some cooking string. Then like you throw it in the oven. And same thing along the outside. The you can do whatever spices or seasonings you want to do on the outside. I believe the one where like people were like legitimately fighting for seconds. I did some sort of like mustard glaze on the outside, so it gave it like the little pop.
Oh yeah.
That I love like cooking with mustard.
That's your fancy food right there, man. That's what elevates you.
The like people were like, hey, like, can I go get another piece? And I was like, dude, like there's like 6 more people coming. Like you can't just like continue to go get more food. Like and it wasn't even that like the people were late and I was trying to hold off food. Like these people were early. And so they were trying to eat all the food before everybody showed up. But yeah, so I mean that's what I like to do for my fancy food fight nights. And the last one that we watched, it was what did our governor say? Less than 5 people.
Correct.
Yeah. So we had
right now.
Yeah. So we allegedly had less than 5 people. So we'll just keep it at that.
Yeah, you were close.
Yeah, we were. It was under 5. It was under. That's what we'll say. But yeah, that was. What did I do? I did tacos for everybody, and then for your wife, who happens to be vegetarian, I did mango pepper salmon.
Yeah, and I guess she would technically be pescatarian because she does eat fish occasionally. We don't want to offend anybody here.
Is that a religion? I don't know. Pescatarian.
It might be, well, pescado, right? Us being Hispanic and Mexican, fish. So that's probably where it comes from. Some Latin term, right, at some point. But you did a bang up job with that, with the fish, man. She really appreciated that too. That's actually been interesting. Justine and I have been together now a little over 6 years, been married going on 2.5. And when we started out together, she ate meat, all that jazz. And, she really cares about the animals, and I can respect that. I still like to eat animals, though. Yeah. But I respect where she's coming from, especially like the humane treatment and whatnot. But she actually had a kidney stone a couple of years into us dating, and they basically told her that it had been created. So it runs in her family, first off, genetically with some kidney stones, because she's not a big like sugar drinker or anything like that. She's not pre-diabetic or have other health issues, because that's what's usually associated with kidney stones, right? My roommate in college had several kidney stones, but him and I used to suck down Mountain Dew Code Red like it was water, Yeah. Stupid decisions back then, right? Anyway, they basically told her that she's missing kind of an enzyme that breaks down animal meat tissue properly, so she's more susceptible to that. So once they told her that, she's like, no.
Hold on, is her doctor like a crazy vegan? It's just like lying to her. That's what I think she might have been lied to.
Well, this was the emergency room.
Oh,
so
okay.
This was not her regular. And we talk about that because I have my own theories about our healthcare system and shoving pills down people's throats and kind of the flavor of the day, right? Lately, the flavor has been the Mediterranean diet, which. It's funny with all these diets. I've tried paleo at one point.
I'm not familiar with this one. What's this one?
Yeah. So the Mediterranean diet is essentially eating like you live in the Mediterranean, where you have a lot of healthy fats. So olives, avocado, seeds, things like that. And then primarily your animal proteins are going to be, well, some people don't consider fish animals. I do.
Yeah.
So you're mainly a seafood diet. Lots of whole grain, veggies, essentially whole foods. And that's what I was going to kind of say is most of these kind of fad diets or flavor of the month type, what I like to call them, and I'm not hating on them. Whatever works for you.
Who comes up with this? Like, we'll just eat fish and olives. Like,
I think it's just what we learn over time, right? I mean, it seems like every other week, eggs are the devil or they're the greatest thing since sliced bread, right? Whether you eat the yolk,
but eggs are so good for you.
Well,
that's always
and I know, all right, and we can get into FDA and other things. I mean, I actually worked for General Mills for 3 years. So I learned quite a bit about the food industry and regulations and things. But I think at its core, right, I think what people need to realize, whether you're doing paleo, keto, vegetarian, vegan, even the carnivore diet, if you stick to whole foods, man, and you know exactly what's going in your body, you're going to be all right. And I'm not telling you to not go eat some crap. Trust me, I like to get down on some pizza, wings, burgers, but you just got to know, and really you got to know what your body thrives on. I mean, you and I sitting here, relatively healthy individuals, we're going to talk about fitness a lot. Your body might work better off of carbs than mine. Mine might work. A high protein diet doesn't work for everybody. A low carb diet doesn't work for everybody. You got to really figure that out on your own through trial and error.
I mean, just with anything with with any of these diets, like it's all about like caloric intake, isn't it? Like that's
and that's what you'll see a lot of like the fitness pages I follow and stuff. It's about being in a caloric deficit, regardless of what you're intaking, right? And that there's like common misconceptions too. Where you might think you're eating healthier, eating that bagel with cream cheese than a donut, but on a macro level, they might break down the same with sugars and carbs and fat.
I gotcha.
And so you just really got to outweigh those things. Or you might be thinking, hey, I'm eating this Cliff Bar. I'm being healthy.
Well,
not necessarily. Well, yeah, it's just an example, right? So, I've had my own journey with nutrition. I didn't know any of that crap, right?
Yeah.
And you, when you go to a grocery store, it really is true. If you stay on the perimeter,
on the outside, avoid the inside. I've heard
you're going to
that.
spend less money. You're going to eat better. But and we talked about eating out. One of the things that I love eating out. I love trying new things from different restaurants and things like that. But I try to limit it because you don't see what they're putting in your food with sodium and fat and things like that.
Yeah.
Especially the fancier restaurants, or if you ever watch a cooking show, man, slabs of butter in that pan, even with just broccoli and things. So you just got to be careful with that. But we talk about food being such a big part of culture. It really is. And going back to Rona, it's just, I hope these places survive, man, because they've been staples. They've been in families for generations.
Dude, it sucks when I read those articles, man.
Yeah.
It's like I said, it's like 3 decades of like a restaurant being in a certain spot, and it's like, and we're done.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, we were doing good, but we're done. Like, dude, like that's rough,
sad.
Man. That is crazy.
Well, and going back to, I really like how you hit home with, family tradition and things like that. I think food really brings people together. You were talking about your UFC fight night, and I think that's what I really enjoy about it. And you get to experiment in your kitchen, right? So, for those of you that are in Albuquerque listening, if you've been through Albuquerque, some of the staples, right, is going to be your Lotta Burger, your Dion's. Everyone's had Dion's, and the reason I bring up Dion's, it's a local pizza sub and salad spot. And last year, actually, our current boss, he won a Dion's recipe pizza contest, where you had to create a recipe kind of using their ingredients, and something that was for the everyday person who could just pull it off. So you made your recipe. So I actually entered that contest, but because I take this stuff so seriously, because I love food, I came up with 3 different recipes, and I had a party with friends and family and had them vote on it.
I remember you brought in, what was it, like pizza bagels or some sort of...
Yeah,
like,
so
those were pretty good, I'm not gonna lie.
They were green chili pepperoni pizza rolls.
Okay, that's
so
what
it was more of like the concept of a cinnamon roll, and had green chili, pepperoni, cheddar cheese, cream cheese, and jalapeno. So it was like a jalapeno popper pizza roll was what it ended up being. So I combined those flavors, but then I think what put it over the top, going back to your fancy, is something that's pretty popular in the New York area, especially. The most popular brand is probably Mike's Hot Honey. I infused the honey with serrano peppers.
Okay.
And so you get that sweet and that spicy, man. And so that's what I drizzled them with. And then I made a Chipotle ranch dipping sauce out of Dion's Ranch to go with it. And so I just love experimenting with flavor combos. And, when you get to do it like that with family and friends and kind of show off a little bit, or you get that real honest feedback, right? Where, this shit's terrible.
Yeah, no,
you got to try it again. That's the best, man.
Yeah,
I love that feeling.
When I like to do my cooking, like I want to know, like I really do.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to get better, man. I got a rack full of spices. Like I want to see what works. Because sometimes, like some of the stuff that they have over there, I was like, I don't even know what this is. Like, or what's another, like cumin or whatever. Like I don't know what that I don't know what that goes good with.
Cumin is very versatile spice, right? Really great with meat. Used in a lot of like Middle Eastern spice rubs that you'll see on whether it be lamb or beef, chicken, kebab, shawarma. Yeah, actually, if you had to pick one genre of food, what's like your go-to, right? So if we're thinking like Middle Eastern, Mediterranean, American, Mexican, Italian, what is your absolute go-to?
I mean, we talking like death row meal here, or like
you know what? That's a good one.
You want to go to death?
Let's go death row. Okay,
hold on. You go first, because I got to think. Because my answer usually changes. I think I've given you an answer before.
I think you have.
And well, I know what I would like for my dessert, but I don't know for the main. But go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Well, let's give those stipulations here. So we're assuming an entree, right, with a couple sides. I mean, I don't know how it works. I've never. Let's make up our own death row.
All right,
rules.
yeah.
You get an appetizer, you get an entree with two sides, and you get a dessert. So think about that.
I don't know if I want to give death row people that big of a like. All right, you get one plate.
Come on, man! You're about to be executed. Can you not splurge a little bit for somebody who's about to be executed?
Yeah, I get. I don't know. That again, we're going into politics here. We're going just all right. All right. So what are your rules again?
All right,
I'm
so
paying attention.
You got an appetizer.
Okay.
You got an entree with two sides, and then you got your dessert.
Okay.
All right.
You go first, though.
All right. So I'm a wing guy for sure. So I would do some Nashville hot chicken wings from a local place here called Nexus Brewery. The owner is from the South. They do it right, man. They know their fried chicken. It's freaking awesome. Nashville hot, love that stuff. So Nashville hot chicken wings for my appetizer, and then for a steak, man, I gotta go steak for the entree.
Dude, that's so basic, man.
Hey,
you're so basic.
I'm a meat and potatoes kind of guy, man. You gotta go with a 22-ounce New York strip basted with garlic butter. Okay, you gotta cook it in that cast iron too. Get that right sear. Got to be cooked perfectly, medium rare, warm pink center, man. And then as my sides, I definitely have to. Have some sort of green chili because I'm from here. So I'd probably do a green chili mac and cheese with that steak. Good. Oh, yeah. And green chili mac and cheese and probably just some steak fries. Maybe. Oh, actually, you know what? We'll go fancier. We'll go garlic parmesan parsley fries. It's a big thing on the West Coast.
Okay.
And then my dessert, I'm a big chocolate chip cookie guy. I'm not a sweet tooth, but a warm chocolate chip cookie
like
skillet.
Subway, or like what are we talking about?
Well, Subway's chocolate chip cookies are damn good for what you get, for sure. But I'm talking like BJ's Brewhouse Pizookie, man. Like a warm skillet cowboy cookie. That's my meal right there.
Okay. Dude, yeah, mine is going to be all over the place. That's like
okay.
My appetizer is not even an appetizer. I think my appetizer would be probably like a bowl of cereal. Like Special K.
Right. Heck, Special K.
Yeah, hold on. Let me finish. The Chocolate Delight is my favorite cereal of Special K. Like, that's pretty good.
Hey, man, it's your death row meal. You make it what you want.
It's got a little bit of dark chocolate in it. And, I'm not even like a big sweet guy anyways.
Yeah. No, I hear you.
But I love that cereal. For the main, I know my answers changed a few times. I think last time I told you it was like beef stroganoff.
You did.
But I think for this one, I think I'll go with. I'm in the mood for some lasagna. Like heavy. Like I want to feel like super full.
Yeah, you want that brick.
Yeah, I want that brick in my sstomach right before I get taken out. In terms of the sides, probably like some fried okra.
Okay,
like that's always pretty good. Yeah. I mean, I got to go with the tater tarts.
Tater tots?
Oh, no, sweet potato fries. I go sweet potato fries on the side.
Okay.
And I like my a little bit of hot sauce in my ketchup. So I'm going to have to need some of that.
Right.
And then for my dessert never changes. It's always it's a brownie, but it's got to be crispy, okay? Not this soggy crap.
Wait, crispy and like a warm gooey center, or you like it firm throughout?
I like it. The top and the sides have got to have some crisp to them.
Okay.
It's still got to be soft-ish.
Yeah,
like,
you don't want to break your teeth.
Yeah, I'm not looking here like to fucking slam this thing against the wall and then like eat it.
Yeah.
But where it's like I take a bite and like I make a mess on the ground. Like that's a good brownie. That's a good brownie.
Okay.
So that would be my death row meal.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that about it changing all the time because, man, I like gyros, breakfast burritos, man. Especially here, that's like I usually throw that around, like, but
Yours are good. I didn't even think about that.
oh yeah, I know, right? I mean, there's a spot that I'm really scared about not making it through this thing. It's called Olympia Cafe, little hole in the wall on Central across from UNM. But they do a thing called super gyros, man, where they put a half pound of gyro meat. It's a 9-inch pita that they get made specially, and they throw their tomatoes, red onion, and that tzatziki sauce. Oh, so good, man.
I mean, you're speaking of hole in the walls. I just got like a little flash memory back when I was in college. So there was this little hole in the wall called Ohana's.
Okay.
It's Korean food.
And this is near A&M.
And this is near A&M.
All right.
They've gotten a little fancier through the years as I was there. So I was stationed out of Guam.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of Korean people that live out there. So one of my buddies actually married a Korean girl. And so like anytime she was cooking, I was always over there. Like that's
for sure.
some of the best food. Like some good kimchi. Like they got some bad stuff, but like this is good kimchi.
Kimchi is the fermented cabbage.
Yeah, correct. Yeah,
okay.
It's like a little bit of sour. It's got a little bit of spice in it.
Got a little funk, kind of like a Korean sauerkraut, right?
Yeah. I mean that's probably a good way. I love that stuff. It's so good.
Okay.
It's like kind of pickled. I don't know what's going on with it, but I love it.
Yeah.
During my dating single life, like through college, like that's where I would take my dates. Because the food was always
spot,
solid.
huh?
That was the thing was it was a little hole in the wall place that nobody knew about, and like the food was legit.
Okay.
I always had the joke like there wasn't any Mexicans in the back. Like it was an old Korean lady, and like she would come out and like she was like, oh, you like your food, and I was like, dude, like yes, of course. So yeah, I would take a few of the dates there every once in a while, and there was this woman, it was a younger lady that worked there, and she would like recognize me, and she would like kind of like look at me, and then she would look at the date, and I was like, different one. I was like, shh, like she was like, no, like this is we're good, like we'll just run it through here.
Well, Korean food has quite a bit of range. So, what was your go-to at this restaurant?
So,
what made it so good? What was the dish, man? Or did you switch it up?
I usually switched it up. Like they had like their Korean beef was always good.
Bulgogi? Because there's
So they had a few bulgogi bowls. Yeah, when they throw like the egg in it and like it cooks in there, so good.
Bibimbap, I think that's called. Yeah.
Spicy calamari. Like I don't know. It's not like that. It's super hot, but it's got like a certain like low spice to it that tastes really good. And I'm a big seafood guy as well. Mm-hmm. What else did we get? So usually when you sat down, they gave you like 4 little bowls of sides. And all the little bowls were good. Like there would be kimchi in there, like some sort of spicy potato. Okay. I'm trying to think of what else, man. There's some sort of like sweet pickled cucumber as well in there. I don't know what to call it. But yeah, that stuff was amazing. And so usually I would go in there. But I know for sure the go-tos were that spicy calamari and the Korean beef. And usually, like, I would get something else. Because when I would go in there with all the friends, we would usually do it what I call family style. So everybody gets like a big plate of something, like the large order, and everybody just picks up each other's foods. Yeah.
That's actually P.F. Chang's concept, or like buca de beppo. I don't know. Buca is obviously Italian. P.F. Chang's is Chinese cuisine, but they purposely do large entrees where you just get a little bit of everything and you pass it around. I kind of like that concept.
Dude, so. I mean, just sometimes like you see stuff on there that you would never get. So yeah, like usually there's a bunch of crazy stuff on there that you don't know what it is. Sometimes people are a little adventurous and they pick on something and it comes out amazing. Like a perfect example of this, when I was stationed in Guam, we went over to Saipan, which is one of the small islands in the Marianas Islands chain. And we went to this restaurant, and it was all these Asian sticks on the menu. Like we did not know what the hell we were looking at. So we're just like kind of looking around, and we're trying to point. Kind of seeing what people are eating. So I kind of pointed at the menu. Turns out I ordered crab. Okay. And I was like, okay, like it came out and the crab was a little soft. Like
Okay.
it was squishy, in other words. And I was like, I don't know about this. And then I was like, well, like, I was like, when in Rome, I guess. Like, let's just eat this thing. So I started eating this raw crab, and like the waitress came over and she gave me like that death look, like, what are you doing? She started doing the international like X with her hands, like, no. And I was like, oh, that means stop.
Yeah.
So she opened up in the middle of the table. It was one of those, what do you call it when they open up in the middle of the table with the stove in it?
Oh, shoot.
Yeah.
The names escape me.
Yeah,
I
but you know what I'm talking
where
about,
you're cooking
right?
your own food.
Yeah, you're cooking your own food.
Yeah,
So she basically like grabbed my crab and threw it in there along with all the other foods, and I was like, oh crap, I just ate raw crab, dude. I'm gonna shit myself later. But thankfully I got a pretty strong stomach.
There you go.
And I survived it. But yeah, that was that was an experience. And that happened to a few of the guys. Where we were like just eating raw stuff.
Oh.
Because being out in Guam, it's a little island in the middle of the Pacific.
Right.
Which I think I've told you this before. I was so spoiled, and I didn't even know it. Like just like fresh sushimi and like fresh fish every day.
Yeah.
Like right now in Albuquerque, you live in the middle of the desert. Like I wouldn't eat the seafood. Don't eat the seafood here.
Well, and me growing up here, I think that's why I'm not very fancy to seafood. You know, if it weren't for Justine, I really want to open my eyes a little bit to sushi, and even then, I'm not as adventurous as her, like you said, with the sashimi or the nigiri and things like that. But yeah, being in the desert, I mean, don't get me wrong, with how small the world is now and whatnot. I mean, there are sushi restaurants here that get same day delivery, from like a Pike's Place and stuff, but it's flash frozen, right? You have to travel it. It's not the same, like you're saying, like freshly caught fish.
Dude, so we went on a fishing trip, and so we were catching mahi-mahi, that's what it was.
Yeah.
And so the captain was like filleting the stuff in front of us, like he threw some lime juice on it and was like digging. It was amazing. It was so good.
Just
raw fish,
nice.
cooked off the lime juice,
Yeah,
or
so
lemon. Excuse me.
The acid, the citric acid.
Lemon's the yellow one, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, with lemonade. Okay. I forget, man. Like growing up Mexican, like limon. It was like, oh, like that's the green ones. It's not.
Well, Spanish was your first language, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So no, for sure. And that's a popular technique throughout. I mean, ceviche, right?
Oh, so good.
That's kind of how you get away with doing that with the citrus, whether it's lime or lemon, right? So, but I think that's why we share a love for food. Don't get me wrong. You could be any background, but I think Hispanic culture, especially, or Mexican, Latin American, whatever the heck you want to call it. I'm trying to be politically correct here, but I don't want to offend anyone. Sorry if I am. But I have Mexican and Hispanic heritage in my bloodline, and I got to tell you, man. I mean, just every event is a big thing. Like I joke with this, and I don't care what part of the country you are or whatever. You go to a Mexican household, it might be a party of 10 people. There is food for 100 guests.
Yeah.
Like my mom,
that's
man,
a little much, but like at least 30.
I'm
so
exaggerating, but my mom, man, I have two sisters, and she's always used to buying food for 5. But like you were saying, your parents love hosting and stuff. Like our house was always the hangout house in high school or whatever, and my parents always just had that open door policy. And so I think for my wedding, my mom's biggest fear in life is probably running out of food, like for any event or gathering.
Yeah.
And so we just had we always have way too much food. Everyone's always taking leftovers. But I joke about it because I remember one time Justine and I went to a graduation party together early on in us dating, and she was like, oh, well, we don't need to eat before. Like, they're going to have food there. And I was like, hold on. Like, I've met your intern that we're going for. Like, she is from a absolutely white as white can be family. And I was like, we better eat before. We're going to have to eat after. And she's like, no, what are you talking about? I was like, guarantee it right now. There's going to be 1 jug of tea, 1 jug of lemonade. There's going to be a sandwich tray and a veggie tray. And that's it. There's going to be nothing else. You're going to just be picking at things. And sure enough, Justine was just dying laughing. It's a running joke to this day. Everything I said is exactly there. We had to go eat after. I was like, yep.
It's just like a tray of like carrots and celery with
exactly,
the ranch.
man.
And it's like, come on, man, what are you guys doing? Like Yeah, I mean, you've seen my grill outs when I invite everybody over.
Yeah.
Like, I'm running around like a madman trying
Yeah.
to make sure everyone's comfortable.
Yeah. No, it really is that Hispanic cultural thing. And I know it's in other cultures too. It's not solely owned by the Latin American or Hispanic culture. And don't get me wrong, there are plenty of white households I've been to that have had a fine spread. But I'm just telling you, we're talking stereotypes here, people. And there's some truth to them for a reason.
Yeah,
man.
I mean, we're just criticizing our own culture anyways.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, of course our culture is the best. Like, come on.
Well, I mean, you can't tell. So were tamales a big thing even in Houston?
Oh yeah, man. It's usually
Christmas time.
Christmas time.
Yeah.
Which actually, it's funny you bring that up. When I was talking to my father this morning, they were having breakfast, and I was like, "Oh, like what do you guys eat?" And it's like, "Oh, like tamales and eggs and beans." And I was like, "Dude, it's not even December, man. Like, what are you doing? This is because you eat so many of them for like that week.
Yeah.
So it's sometimes you get them for Thanksgiving. Kind of rare. I think we've fully switched over to like the turkey stuff.
Oh yeah.
For in our household, when I was younger, we used to have a lot more tamales, but like now it's usually for Christmas and New Year's.
Yep.
And so you eat tamales for like a week or two, and you're like, I'm done. They're
so versatile.
Yeah, and you know, like my mom's like trying to give me like tamales to take home. It's like they're just gonna sit in my freezer. And usually,
but they hold really well. That's a good thing about them.
So it's like usually I've had a few roommates that's like, you know, like straight up white boys, and I'm like, dude, these tamales, like you can have them, bro. Like I don't want them. I want them out of my house. They've been in there, just giving them away. But yeah, so it's usually right before Christmas, like all the women get together.
Yep.
And you know they do the masa. They start stuffing everything.
So that's strictly with women in your household, because it's an everybody activity.
So some of the men help. Usually like the men are out in the back grilling and like doing other stuff. Things. So like so they'll be grilling food for the meal that's coming up, and like usually the tamales are for later that evening, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So they're cooking the lunch, and then the women are usually cooking what's going to be dealt out for dinner. Yeah.
Oh, there's Donnie, for those of you here in the background. We're definitely both dog people. Don't worry. No, that's really cool, man. It's funny that you say that. You know, you eat those for that time of year. I know they're specifically for that. But yeah, my grandma to this day, you know, she's 92, bless her heart. And we still get together and make them. And I every now and then, it'll be like every couple months, you know, you just crave that tamale, and having them in the freezer is awesome. But the one thing that is traditionally kind of eaten around that time too is pozole. For those of you that don't know, it's hominy, so basically puffed up corn kernels essentially, and it tastes kind of like a pasta. Traditionally, if you're real traditionally, you cook it with like pig's feet and all the trimmings. You might cook a pig.
That's like good stuff, dude. People don't like. Well, I love that pig feet. Man.
Yeah, no. So you usually don't find that. Yeah. My grandma still likes to put them in, but you know, pork and like a broth in there, and then you put chili on it, usually red. I've had it with both. Green is fantastic too. And actually, for my wife, we'll make a vegetarian pozole with beans as the protein base in there.
Okay.
But I could eat pozole every day, man. That stuff is so good. Like I don't need it to be Christmas for pozole. So luckily, I can get that at a few places throughout the year.
I figure your heart slowing down as your arteries clog a little bit.
Well, all in moderation, man. Yeah, all in moderation. And actually, you know, going back to stereotypes, Hispanic and African Americans, it's the ticker, right?
Yeah,
we tend to go from the ticker, and
dude, the ticker and the like the diabetes, man.
Yeah,
it's just like, yo, grandpa, you can't eat that shit anymore.
Well,
like, they just don't care, man.
It's because food is such a big part of life and enjoyment and a lot of things, right? And indulging and but you know, everything in moderation. And I try to take care of my heart, but yeah, like I try to limit my red meat intake. You know, you try to do all those things, but every now and then, man, you just got to throw down a 2,500 calorie pizza or some freaking chicharrones, which for those of you who don't know, that's basically fried pork in its own fat. Manteca.
It's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's every Mexican household has that that tub of pig fat in the freezer.
Yeah.
And like you open it up, like what the hell's in here? And then it's like, oh, it's fat.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. It's always like in a random container. It's like a Cool Whip or like
yeah.
an old like butter
Yeah, like
plastic
country
container.
crock. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I remember like growing up, like you open it up, like what the hell is this? Like it doesn't look like ice cream, and it's like, oh, it's just fat. That's that good stuff.
You'll find that my grandma on my mother's side. So actually, my mother's side, my mom's maiden name is Domenicali, so very heavily Italian on that side. But she always had that tin of those shortbread cookies. But it was a crapshoot if you open up that tin if there's actually cookies in it.
I know what you're talking
and
about.
every Mexican Hispanic household knows what we're talking about. Those are repurposed for sewing materials. That becomes your
exactly
junk
what I was gonna
drawer.
guess. Yeah.
Batteries, whatever. And but yeah, she'd always have those. So it was like. It was kind of Russian roulette as a kid. Like, are there going to be cookies in here? Is it something else? I don't know. But yeah, coming from a background of Italian and Hispanic heritage, there's a lot of rich food culture in both those backgrounds. So I've been pretty lucky to get some things, and we go back to tradition and whatnot. I mean, not only recipes but traditions and things that are handed down for generations, and that's why it's so sad with some of the local businesses who you see that influence from their families and their background, and it kind of hits the end of the road. So hopefully we see some light at the end of the tunnel here soon. It depending on where you look, it does seem like things are getting better. But.
Yeah, I mean, if we want to end on a lighter note here, so lately I've been talking with a few friends about the secret menus at some of the fast food chains. Are you familiar with any of these?
In-N-Out is pretty popular for their secret. It's not so secret anymore, but yeah,
What's an In-N-Out? I mean, I'm not Texas. I don't think we have very many In-N-Outs.
No. So In-N-Out Burger is actually only in California, Arizona, and they've branched into Nevada. There's a few in Las Vegas, and I believe in Reno, but definitely Las Vegas.
What's do you happen to know any?
I do.
The top of your head?
So
what do you got?
A Neapolitan milkshake. So they use Neapolitan ice cream and make a milkshake. So you get the chocolate, strawberry, and vanilla in there.
Oh, okay.
You could say animal style on anything. So that's where they put their secret sauce, and they do some grilled onions on there. You could do protein style, so instead of buns, they wrap it in lettuce for a burger.
Okay, I was going to ask you about that because I remember my buddy getting something like that, and it was wrapped in lettuce.
I know there's a way you could like have it where it's cooked in mustard, grill the patties in mustard. They'll put caramelized onions, but yeah, there's a few different and then the thing with In-N-Out has always been like they have a very simple menu. So you could say like a 2x2, which is 2 patties and 2 slices of cheese, and like people, I think they've capped it now, but people were getting ridiculous, like a 12x12 or things like that. So
because we were talking about one of the friends that I climb with. Yeah. She was saying that she used to work at McDonald's, and like I brought up like the secret menu, and like she didn't know what I was talking about, and kind of the origins of this story is one of my roommates back when I was in the military was a big McDonald's guy, and he was trying to tell me this stuff, and I was like, what the hell are you talking about?
Yeah. He's
like, oh yeah, man, there's this thing called the McGangbang, and I was like, what the hell's a McGangbang? So I brought this up, and
so why don't you tell the people what the McGangbang
so the McGangbang is? It's off the dollar menu.
Okay.
And so it's 2 of the meat patty ones off the dollar menu, and then a McChicken.
Yep.
I'm not too familiar with what the dollar meat ones is called.
Yeah, so just I think they're called double doubles now.
Okay, that's probably what it is. So
basically a double cheeseburger.
Okay, so it's 2 double doubles if that's what it is, and then the McChicken on the inside, and then you smash it together.
Yeah.
And that's called a McGangbang.
Yep.
And
I have had a McGangbang. I've never ordered one. We used to do that on drunken nights in college or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, drunk food at 2:30 in the morning, the McGangbang tastes pretty good.
Yeah, that sounds pretty. And then the other one that I mean, you can look this stuff up. They got like the top 10 like secret menus from McDonald's. Yeah. But one of the other ones that I couldn't remember was I remember that it had to do with the McFlurry. Okay. And so this is the apple pie McFlurry. That's what it's called. Which again, I can feel my arteries like clogging up as you eat that thing.
Oh yeah, but your soul just lit up hearing that, man. Come on.
But you're so much happier once you eat it. So yeah, that's Is it just for breakfast, the apple pie, or is that?
No, I think you can get them all day. I mean, those are damn good by themselves.
Yeah,
man.
I mean,
It's like an apple pie hot pocket.
Yeah, again, I don't eat shit. Probably the last time I had McDonald's was like years ago.
Yeah.
No. Actually, I take that back. When I hiked the PCT back in 2018, I went to a McDonald's.
Still a couple of years, man.
Yeah, so that was 2 years ago, and because there was one there was an official sign and everything for the official Pacific Crest Trail McDonald's.
Nice.
Yeah, no, for that one, we could always circle back to that story, but I ended up stuffing like 6 McChickens into my fanny pack, and like that was my meal for the day. Well, not even for the day, for like a few hours while I was hiking.
Burning those calories, man.
But yeah, so we have the McGangbang, the apple pie, McFlurry,
Ooh.
and then I got curious and I started looking at other restaurants, and Taco Bell has its own as well. The only one I can remember off the top of my head was a Doritos taco shell anything. So it's basically you just order separate taco shells, the Doritos ones, and you just like kind of crumble it over everything. Which is, you know what? I'm not even a big Taco Bell guy. That sounds pretty good.
See, that's the one fast food I still crave, man. Taco Bell every now and then. I don't eat fast food very often either, but let's do that. Let's challenge ourselves. So our next Grub episode, you come up with a few secret menu items from some fast food that you'd like to try. I'll do the same. Let's come up with 3 each. And, to give you guys a little sneak peek, I did mention I follow a lot of, foodie channels and things like that on IG or YouTube. There's thousands of them. But one of my favorites happens to be First We Feast. And a lot of you probably know their popular show that they do on YouTube called Hot Ones with Sean Evans. And they basically go through the ringer of interview questions with 10 hot sauces. And my wife got me season 6's hot sauces back in February. So Eric and I are going to do that challenge, and we're going to comment on that. So our next Grub episode, we're going to do that. But, why don't we land this plane with a little segment we like to call Get Off My Lawn.
Yeah.
So Eric, you got 60 seconds. So what? Tell the listeners.
You can't just put me on the spot like that.
I'm giving you 60 seconds, man. Tell the listeners of what you're telling people to get off your lawn for this week.
So as we mentioned, we're trying not to talk about politics very much, and so we usually say that our politics are just get off my lawn, man. Like leave me alone. let me collect my guns and just get off my lawn. Mm-hmm. So let me see. Today's get off my lawn. What can we go with? I'm trying to think of what that's upset me.
You want me to go first?
Yeah, go ahead and go first, man.
All right.
I'm looking at the timer here. Go ahead.
All right. No, I got it. Yeah. Okay. So. United States Postal Service. I don't care what your political party is. I think we can all come together and agree that the United States Postal Service sucks. Okay? My grandfather, who served this country in the military, worked for the post office for many years. Like, no disrespect, but guess what, people? They suck. UPS, FedEx, Amazon, other companies have come in and figured this shit out. And I hate that people are defending them like they're the greatest government-running organization out there right now. Look, I know it's an election year. I know that there are going to be issues with mail-in voting, and I know we're in this pandemic. But come on, man. It's fucking 2020. Let me vote on my phone. Figure it out. Get a VPN. Get a secure connection. Do it that way, okay? If you don't want people going to the polls, I understand. But are we really going to trust such an important decision with the United States Postal Service when everyone dreads going to them more than the dentist? Okay?
I think I told you, I used to have a phobia going to the post because they always treated you like shit. It was like, this is the wrong form, sir. And I was like, I just asked you which form I needed, and you told me this one. And it's like, well, this is the wrong one. I was like, okay.
They're worse than the MVD, dentist, doctor, whatever, man. So that's my spiel. I went a little over 60 seconds. So, Eric, you have the floor.
Okay, man. So now I'm ready. I can give you a good one.
You're good.
So here in Albuquerque, people popping fireworks forever. So they started popping fireworks back in June.
Yeah.
We're well into August now, almost coming into September. These assholes are still popping fireworks. And I have I texted a group of friends where it was 10:30 at night on a Sunday. And no, it was probably like 10 o'clock. I was trying to go to bed early. I was trying to be a good guy, just get some rest. And all I hear is bzz, 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 bzz. And I look outside my window and it is blue. And so I have some PTSD PTSD trauma from being on the submarines and fires. So I just thought like, oh shit, like my evaporative cooler's on fire, because that was where it was coming from. So I'd run outside in my underwear with the fire extinguisher in the kitchen, and there's these asshole kids just lighting off fireworks in the middle of the street. And it was one of those like, just get the hell off my lawn. Like, I was just, it was ridiculous.
Love it.
It was too much.
Yeah.
But that's my get off my lawn.
All right, man. Well, it's been a little over an hour. Thank you all for tuning in to the first ever episode of the 5D Life podcast. What do we want to talk about next week? You want to talk about guns?
We can talk about guns. I got a box full of gun parts early this week that we can talk about.
Perfect.
Yeah, that's probably what we'll do.
All right. Well, thank you all for listening in. We'll catch you next time.
All right.